Is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire the hot sequel we've all been waiting for? Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm here to talk to you about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which is coming to theaters on March 22nd, 2024. It is a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife, which tried to, I guess, kickstart the next generation Ghostbusters. They tried to keep it all in the family, tried to introduce some future Ghostbusters, but still kind of had ties in the past. Does Frozen Empire continue this tradition? And is this the sequel we've all been waiting for? Well, my hot take is I definitely think you should watch it. I really enjoyed it. It was just like a fun ghost adventure with this new cast of characters, but also plenty of references and nostalgia to the old film and plenty of humor. It was a really funny movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It had the audience laughing. And if you've seen the original movies, or if you at least know about the original movies, you are going to love it. So definitely check out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in theaters. Now, should you take your kids to it? It's a Ghostbusters movie. You probably have some nostalgia for the old films. I don't think you should. It's a PG-13 movie, and that was well deserved. It has some scary scenes. It has some like violent-ish scenes, at least some like dark material, and it has some suggestive stuff. So I wouldn't take younger kids to it. Maybe if you're comfortable taking your kids to other PG-13 movies, this would be fine for you. But it is definitely an earned PG-13 rating. Now, all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happened to this movie, and you might not, there are some surprises. I would turn it off when I get to the ending, but before that, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, you have the Spenglers continuing the ghost-busting tradition in Afterlife. Phoebe discovered kind of her family's legacy and really dove into it. And now we are in New York. We are in the traditional fire station. We have Phoebe, Trevor, Callie, and Paul Rudd. He is like the stepfather, but they still haven't established that whole relationship. So it is a little bit complicated, but this is a family affair and they are fighting ghosts in New York. Now, unfortunately, New York doesn't love some of the things they are doing, and some of the more destructive aspects of ghost fighting stretch around the mayor, which puts the whole operation in jeopardy and, by extension, the world when a new dark threat arises. Are they able to fix this? Are they able to bust this ghost? And if they're not around, who are you going to call? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, all that being said, things I liked about the movie. The first, it's a really funny movie. It is very, very funny. There are plenty of laugh out loud moments. It has a nice balance between like dark material and funny material, and it definitely uses it perfectly. You'll have some serious scenes and then just a funny random moment that happens. It helps to kind of level out some of the material and makes it a very enjoyable experience overall. The second thing I liked the effects, like just really good special effects pretty much throughout. There was one scene that had some questionable CG, but overall the effects were great, and I loved that they kind of kept with the theme of the original movie. The proton packs have the same kind of like stream effects. The traps look similar. They have a lot of similar style effects, and the ghosts also look similar. They look like an older style movie ghost a lot of times, which I loved. I love that they kind of kept that similar look throughout and just kind of updated a lot of the effects for modern times. The third thing I love the cast. You got a great cast, both young and old. You've got the new cast members who are all great actors on their own, and then you've got the kind of nostalgic old guard who also make appearances in this film. So I love that they kind of got everyone together and really integrated them. It wasn't just the new characters, it wasn't just the old guard. It definitely traded off between them and had the different sets of people interact throughout. And the last thing I loved, the sense of nostalgia. Look, you've got old scenes from the original Ghostbusters movies. You've got scenes from like Ghostbusters advertisements, which I loved. You've got old sound clips. The intro logo looks like it was pulled right out of like the 1980s movies. You've got lots of references and just fun wordplay throughout. It is a film that definitely knows where it's coming from. It knows its roots. It plays to those, but it uses them to kind of like bolster up the current story. There's plenty of new stuff, but it does go back and kind of feed you some nostalgia moments here and there throughout to keep you happy. So, all that being said, things I didn't love as much. I already mentioned that one little CG thing. I'm not going to bring it up here specifically because it was just like one moment. But other than that, I didn't love the overall villain. They had a really nice build-up, a really good dark build-up that was fantastic. And then when the villain was finally revealed, it was a little disappointing. It's kind of a thing with horror that you get a lot. You get a lot of really wonderful buildup until you see the actual monster, and then you're like, I mean, that's not as scary as I was expecting. That's not as like powerful as I was expecting. This is a little bit similar. The villain itself is a little disappointing, but don't worry. The ride up to there is great. The film has a really, really long, slow build to get to that point. So it is an enjoyable experience. And the rest of the things I love about the film make up for this kind of like meh villain. So overall, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is coming to theaters on March 22nd, 2024. I definitely think you should check it out. If you are a fan of the originals, you're going to love it. If you aren't a fan of the originals, well, it's still an entertaining movie. That being said, you probably still need to see Ghostbusters Afterlife before seeing this. There's a lot of things that were happened in Ghostbusters Afterlife that they don't necessarily go back and fill you in on. So if you haven't seen the original, well, not the original, if you haven't seen the earlier movie, then I would check that out at least before seeing this. So I'm going to talk about the ending right now, and as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers. So if you don't know what happens in the ending, if you don't know what happens in this film, I would turn it off now. So in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the Spenglers are protecting New York. They are trying to rid it of ghosts, but there's a few issues happening. One, hunting ghosts is fairly destructive. They do some damage to the city, and the mayor is not having it. The mayor is unhappy about the destruction that they're causing. And that leads to some other questions like, why is Phoebe, who is a 15-year-old child, fighting ghosts? That doesn't seem like it falls within the labor laws. Why are they, not being regulated? Things like that. The mayor tries to shut them down, but that kind of doesn't really work well when a new threat happens. Now, this threat comes in the form of this like brass orb that seems to have a lot of ghost energy in it. It seems to scare other ghosts when it's around, which is never a good sign. And it seems to have this like frozen ability to like freeze things around it, basically put things to absolute zero. That is very concerning, but also interesting for both the Spanglers and the original cast members who come in. You've got Winston, who is kind of bankrolling this new Ghostbusters enterprise. And then you've got like Winston's side project. You got the main fire station, Ghostbusters headquarters, but you also have this second location that he has set up to kind of improve the equipment, study more ghosts, kind of be a top of the line facility. Now, the second facility is very important because the original containment unit is kind of at capacity. It is old, it is from the 80s, and it has been filled with ghosts for years and years and years, and now it is at capacity. It is already having issues, and with this evil ball that seems to be kind of throwing ghosts and things in haywire, that containment unit seems to be at its last legs. Everyone gets kind of called into action when this strange brass ball gets sold to Ray by Nadim, this kid played by Kumail Nanjiani, who is looking to offload some of his grandma's stuff. He doesn't seem to respect it like he should, but he just wants the money. He sells them this orb and then bounces. Now, this orb clearly has a lot of energy, clearly has some interesting history, and that leads them all down a rabbit trail. Both Ray, the original Ghostbusters cast, and the new members, they all try to figure out what is going on. They find their answer. This orb, it was built to hold this ancient like ghost god, this ancient like phantom god called Garaka. And there's an old story. Garaka helped the king during a war. Then the king turned on him. Garaka was sealed into this brass orb by this group of mystics, I guess, called the Fire Starters. Garaka is this being of death chill, of pure cold. The fire stars were able to use their powers to seal Garaka in this brass orb. Now, unfortunately for everyone right now, Nadim's grandmother seems to have been the last fire starter, the last member of this organization trying to keep Garaka sealed. And when she died, Nadim didn't understand what was going on, didn't understand the relevance. He sold the orb, and now Garaka seems to be trying to get out. Now, this is helped along by the unlikeliest of people, Phoebe, who was forcibly kind of like kicked off the ghostbusting team because she was 15. They had to stop her from going out because the mayor threatened them with all sorts of legal action. And so Phoebe is feeling kind of lost. She loved being a Ghostbuster. She's good at it. She kind of loves the science of it. She loves the adventure. But now she can't do it. And so she is feeling frustrated with her family. She's feeling frustrated with the situation. And one night she meets this other ghost named Melody, who seems to be a ghost that just can't move on, but they seem to have a connection. Melody was in this diner that burned down. She has been kind of left behind. The rest of her family died in that diner fire. They moved on. She couldn't. We don't really understand why, but she seems stuck here, and she seems to be tied to this like book of matches that probably started the diner fire. So Phoebe and Melody uh, hang out a little bit. They get close. They seem to have a connection. They seem to be friends. Phoebe's feeling very isolated. Now, eventually, she decides that she wants to kind of meet Melanie on her own plane. Melody is a ghost. Phoebe's human. They can't really interact that much, but Phoebe decides to go into this device that was in the new facility that separates ghosts and spectral things from their objects. So, they'll take a haunted doll, they'll put it in this machine, it'll pull out the ghost in like a separate chamber. Then that ghost goes into the containment unit, and the new creepy doll is now just a creepy doll, not a haunted creepy doll. So Phoebe decides that she is going to use this to separate her spirit from her body. So her spirit can now be free and interact with Melody. Now, she's not going to do this forever. She just is going to do it for a couple minutes. Unfortunately for her, once this happens, it seems like Melody has been working with Garakas. Now, Garaka is an ancient entity. It seems to be able to control ghosts and bend them to its will, and it is forcing Melody to use Phoebe to get what it wants. Now, once Phoebe has been separated, once she has like a physical form and a spirit form, that is Garaka's opening. And Melody and Phoebe are finally in the spirit world. They finally exist together. And Melody apologizes because that's when Garaka comes in, takes over Phoebe, and forces her to say this like ancient chant, this like dead language that is what is going to free it from this prison. Because it can control Phoebe's spirit, that then controls Phoebe's words. And so Phoebe says this chant, the prison opens up, falls away, and now Garaka is free. And I should note that this happens fairly late in the movie. There's a lot of buildup before this, but I don't want this review to be crazy, crazy long. So this is a long time coming, but it is a big moment. It is a big kind of moment for Garaka to be free. And now Garaka is going to wreak havoc on New York. Now, this causes obviously something to be strange in the neighborhood. There is like frozen everything. There's a big storm. There are icicles and freezing in New York in July. When there's something strange in the neighborhood, who are you going to call? Well, you got the Ghostbusters, kind of. The city had shut them down by this point, so they don't have a lot of their gear. Thankfully, there is the whole kind of second Ghostbusters place that has plenty of gear. So they go grab their gear, both the new guard, the Spenglers, and the old guard. You've got Ray, you've got Winston, you've got Venkman, and you've got Janine. Janine suits up as well to help fight this ghost. You've got a host of Ghostbusters, and you got some of the characters from the new lab. You've got Lucky, you've got Lars, and you've got Podcast, who has been helping Ray with his supernatural YouTube channel. You've got them all suited up, ready to fight Garaka. Now, unfortunately, it seems like the original proton packs are not going to be useful against Garaka because he is much more powerful. Garaka was actually able to freeze the proton kind of ray that Lucky shot at him earlier. They have to come up with something else. And who wouldn't you know, Phoebe's the one that comes up with it. She decides that brass is this like special material. It's supposed to hold magical properties. So they are going to coat their proton packs in brass to maybe, I don't know, increase their power. So now while the city is kind of freezing and things are going down, they apparently have enough time to like cut some of the brass fire pole, melt it down, coat the coils, I guess, in the proton pack, wait for them to cool, and then install them in a proton pack. Seems like that would take a long time. Seems like that would be both a very time-intensive process, also probably very hazardous. Like, I don't know. I've never melted down brass. Doesn't seem like it'd probably be the easiest thing to do. Seems like there were probably all sorts of issues, but they are able to do it before Garaka arrives. Now, strangely, they only do it to one pack, which I thought was weird. They seem to have tons of brass. They had like a cauldron of brass. They only coated one pack. Maybe they weren't sure if it was going to work. Who knows? It's only Phoebe's pack. Now, when Garaka is approaching, everyone else except Phoebe is up top. Phoebe decides to go downstairs to look at the containment unit that is bursting at the seams. It actually broke when Garaka went free, and a lot of the ghosts flew out, flew into the city. Garaka was trying to like raise the ghosts. The whole plan was for Garaka to raise the ghosts, it can control them, and it was going to have like an army of ghosts to enact its revenge on humanity. Well, for some reason, Phoebe decides to go down to the lower level for the containment unit, and there she sees Melody. Melody apologizes to her for what she did, but she said she just wants to see her family. And Phoebe basically says, like, Garaka is not going to be able to see your family. The only way you can see your family is by moving on. Melody isn't sure about this. She basically, says sorry, and then she disappears along with all the other ghosts when Garaka starts to kind of call them forth. Now, up top, you've got all the other Ghostbusters fighting Garaka. Garaka finally appears. They unleash all their proton beams at him, but they are not effective. Garaka freezes them all. Again, they only brass plated one, not all the others. So they basically have a bunch of worthless proton packs. Garaka breaks it all. He's approaching, and that's when you have Nadim step up. Nadim's grandmother was one of the fire starters, so that means that he is also a fire starter. He just never knew it. They're able to unlock some of his powers early on. He can kind of slowly control flame, but not do much. Now he is realizing his destiny. He gets in like the traditional brass armor that his grandmother had, comes out against Garaka with a lighter, tries to light it, but it's out of fuel. Not good timing for him. The lighter gets frozen. Frozen icicles fly up from the ground. I guess stalactites, I think, in that instance. I'm not 100% sure. Pinning all the Ghostbusters and Nadim down. Garaka seems to be approaching them, ready to kind of enact its revenge. And that's when Phoebe pops up with her one brass-plated proton pack. All right. Shoots him. This one has like a green stream, not the kind of bluish stream that the other ones do. And this seems to hurt Garaka. Garaka is in pain, but fighting back. Phoebe is holding strong, trying her best. It seems like she is holding her own against Garaka, but it seems like Garaka will eventually overpower her. And eventually his power like doesn't hit the stream, but it freezes the proton pack, which then causes it to fail. So it seems like our heroes are out of luck. And that's when Melody pops up. And she has that book of matches that she's been carrying around, that one thing that is holding her to this earth, probably the thing that started the restaurant fire. She lights one of the matches, and that is the spark that Nadim, the fire master, I probably said fire starter earlier. The fire master needs to use his powers. He pulls in the flame, kind of holds it, and then fires that at Garaka. That also melts the ice around them. That melts the ice on Phoebe's pack, and Phoebe's able to shoot him as well. They use both of their powers to at least subdue Garaka. But again, this is a powerful being. They can only do so much. They're going. They have to figure out some way to trap him. Now, luckily for everyone, Garaka is right above the containment unit. Now, the containment unit was broken. All the ghosts spewed out, but apparently we think that if they pull Garaka in, that will close up whatever is happening, and I guess close the containment unit somehow. At least Ray seems to think it will. He tries to explain it, but everyone just says, just do it, Ray. We trust you. So Ray runs down along with the original Ghostbusters. You got Ray, Winston, Venkman, and Janine. They all run downstairs. They mess with the containment unit for a little bit. The stream is getting weaker. They're holding Garaka as hard as they can. Boom, the containment unit is activated. It sucks Garaka in, and when it sucks Garaka in, it also closes itself up somehow. Sure, why not? And boom, everything is fine. Garaka is contained. That causes all the ice to melt. Everyone is so happy that the Ghostbusters saved them. There's a big crowd outside the fire station when the mayor comes to try to yell at them for all the damage that Garaka caused. The Ghostbusters use the crowd to force the mayor to kind of acknowledge what they did. The crowd loves them. The mayor reads the room and realizes that he has to at least let the Ghostbusters keep operating. And so everything is fine. And it seems like the Spenglers are going to be a family because the mayor's concession allows Phoebe to continue ghostbusting. They specifically mentioned that Phoebe was the one that kind of stopped Garaka, and she called Paul Rudd's character dad, who she hadn't done that before. So it seems like now they are going to be a family. They are going to kind of continue the tradition. The old guard has passed on to them. I don't think that we'll be rid of the original Ghostbusters. I imagine they will come back in all the movies, but I don't know, maybe they'll try to wean them off and see if this new cast can kind of continue the adventure. I don't know. We'll see. This had a really nice balance of nostalgia and the new cast. So I think it kind of struck the right balance. I assume that future movies will kind of do the same. But I guess at some point, the original Ghostbusters are either not going to be available to do a movie or not want to do the movie. So they have to transition it somehow. This seems like the best way to do it. So the city is saved. There are still ghosts around though, so the Spenglers have to suit up, get out there, stop these old ghosts that were released when Garaka broke the containment unit. I guess they'll just put them in the new facility, I hope. I guess we'll see. Garaka seems to be occupying the main facility. I don't think they should try to overload it. They should just leave it be. But that is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. A lot of questions though. It seems like they are trying to transition to the new group, the new kind of generation, which makes sense. I don't know if they'll ever fully be free of the original Ghostbusters, though. They had a nice cameo in this. They definitely played an important role, and I loved seeing both of them throughout. So we'll see what happens in the next one. Also, I don't know if that busted old 80s containment unit can hold Garaka for long. I mean, I don't know. This magical brass ball held it in this special room that was designed by the Fire Masters. I don't know if this old 80s containment unit can do it, but it seems to be holding for now. So happy ending, but we'll see what happens in the next movie. And also, there is a stinger during the credits, maybe like a minute into the credits. You see a scene where there is a person that pulls up to a gas station. He goes to make a call on a payphone. For some reason, there's a payphone there. Who knows? His truck starts moving, and you think, oh no, like it's possessed. What's going on? As it's pulling out, you see that it is the Stay Puft Marshmallow truck. Pulling out, and inside are all the little Stay Puft Marshmallow ghosts. They're messing with the truck. They're playing around. They seem to be causing trouble. I imagine that they will eventually cause trouble, and maybe the big Marshmallow Man will be the enemy in the third movie. Who knows? We'll find out, but that is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It's coming to theaters on March 22nd, 2024. Like I said, I definitely think you should watch it. And if you do, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know what I got right and wrong. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.